You know what I mean? You're like,
Are you going to be the deputy tonight? Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Let's get started. Invocation. Mr. Thomas, would you do it?
Sure. Gracious Heavenly Father, we bow before you tonight, just thankful to be here, thankful to serve the people in our community. We just ask you to be present with each of us tonight, guide our hearts and our minds and our actions, to give us strength and wisdom and make good decisions for our county. Ask a special hand of protection on those who protect us in law enforcement and those who care after our children each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. All right. Can I get approval of the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, a couple
Yes, ma'am. changes.
I wanted to point out the agenda summary for tab 15 has been revised. In the budget summary, it referred to the 22-23 budget. That should be the 25-26 budget. And then we're requesting to pull tabs 6 and 7 off of consent for discussion.
Okay.
Motion to approve as amended.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0. All right. Miss Jessica, do we have any citizens to be heard? Thank you, ma'am. Miss Rachel Pienta and Miss Emily Zach? Two separate, okay. Well, they both had 4-H on them, Teresa.
Hi guys. Good evening, commissioners and community members. My name is Emily Zach and I'm a proud member of Wakulla 4-H. I wanted to take a moment to share some highlights from my 4-H year and what I'm excited about moving forward. This past year, I was involved in FLOW, which stands for Future Leaders of Wakulla. It's a club that helps youth like me build leadership skills while giving back to our community. It's been a great way to connect with others and grow as a leader. This summer, I served as a teen volunteer for Wakulla 4-H summer camp. I was there for 3 weeks, helping lead activities and support younger campers. My favorite part was working with them on crafts. I loved seeing how creative they were and how proud they felt of what they made. Looking ahead, I'm especially excited about 2 things. First, I'll be helping with our new Community Pride project, which gives us a chance to make a positive difference in our local area. Second, I've been working with my fellow 4-H'er, Kaden Grubel, on a podcast workshop, and we're excited to present it at the Teen Leadership Summit this October. One of the biggest things I've learned through 4-H is how to communicate with people, from younger campers to my peers to adults and community leaders. Those skills have helped me grow in confidence and leadership. But in order to keep offering these amazing opportunities, Wakulla 4-H needs more adult volunteers. If you're interested in getting involved or just want to learn more, please reach out to the Extension office. We'd love to have you join us. And finally, I want to invite all of you to our Wakulla 4-H open house on October 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's free and open to the community, and it's a great chance to see what 4-H is all about and how you can be a part of it. Thank you so much for your time and for supporting youth programs like 4-H here in Wakulla County.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yep, Miss Emily. Miss Rachel.
Emily was really nervous. She did a great job, though, so excellent. Hi, I am Rachel Pienta. I am the Wakulla 4-H agent, and in case you hadn't seen the invitation out there yet, I just wanted to tell everyone that we are having an ice cream social at 7 p.m. at the Extension office tonight. It's open to anyone in the community who wants to come join us. We are welcoming 2 youth from Japan. They've actually been with 2 4-H families now for about a week and a half, and they'll be here another 2 weeks. It's part of the state's 4-H exchange program. They have 2 versions of the program. One is short-term, one is long-term. The last time we had students in this program was the 2018-2019 school year, where we had 2 young men, one from Estonia and one from Tajikistan. This year we have, in the summer, the short-term folks who are only here for a few weeks. We actually are going to be welcoming right before school starts, an additional youth for the full school year, also from Japan. That'll be a young lady. I don't know her name yet. But tonight we have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old from Japan, a boy and a girl, and they're hosted by different Wakulla 4-H families. So we're going to have some fellowship with them tonight at the Extension office, and we're going to teach them about the very American creations of sundaes and banana splits, because they were invented here in the United States. So we're going to have some fellowship, enjoy it, and show them a warm Wakulla welcome, and you are absolutely welcome to join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Awards and presentations. Miss Jennifer Hoffman.
Good evening, Commissioners. It is my honor and privilege to recognize our Q2 Employee of the Quarter. The Employee of the Quarter highlights one employee in the county who regularly exceeds expectations, shows initiative, is responsive, loyal, and dedicated to their department and Wakulla County. The Employee of the Quarter for April through June is Mr. Larry Weeks, Technician 3 in our Road and Bridge Division. Larry has been employed by the Board of County Commissioners for nearly 6 years and is being recognized for his over and above work efforts. Larry stepped in and covered the sign department while a fellow employee has not been able to return to work. During the same time, Larry has also taken over the maintenance and upkeep of all traffic lights. This includes all intersection lights, school zone lights, traffic beacons, and bike trail lights, which we all know is extremely important in our community. Larry also assists in our new CDL training classes that occur after normal business hours. And his supervisor, Mike, describes Larry as his go-to employee when it comes to helping with Amnesty Day and other county events. For your exceptional work and dedication, we are pleased to recognize Mr. Larry Weeks as our Q2 Employee of the Quarter. And here to present Larry with his award is Mike King, Director of Road and Bridge. Larry?
It's about time.
Come on up.
That is too precious. It is, Larry.
Could we trouble you, Commissioners, to come for a photo?
Did you forget the check?
I did.
There's a lot of us. Better angle. Sorry. Eyes on me first, y'all.
I'm sorry, Bill, gotta wait.
That's right.
Congratulations, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. You do a great job.
Hey, it ain't over yet.
Thank you,
guys.
Mr. Leary.
I need y'all guys' help.
You do?
Yes, I really do.
I'm listening. I'm all ears.
I've got a F-250 right now. I got 64 lights in this county. 44 of them I got to climb up to. I got a walkboard on the back of my ladder rack. I got a 70-pound rechargeable battery. I got to climb up here with just to put in the box. I need a new sign truck. I need a lift that'll lift me up because I got to climb from step to step.
Okay.
Hey, can you do it with an old fire truck, ladder truck? Because we're about to get rid of one.
Fix it. Yeah.
Get Mike King to put in a budget request for next year, because we're about 2/3 through, but you really do need one, don't you?
Yeah, I need one bad.
Okay.
Mike and I have already talked about that. Mike brought it to me last week, so yeah. Yep, we're gonna do something. Yeah, he's got something ready for you.
I'm a couple ladder. I appreciate it, but I gotta go.
Okay, we appreciate you.
That's right. Uh-huh.
All right. 2025 legislative session, final report, Mr. Jim Spratt. No? Okay, well, I was going by what we had on here.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Michelle Metcalf.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for this time for a brief presentation of the 2025 legislative session. As many of you have heard, the session was complicated by issues of immigration and property taxes. The normal session, which is normally 60 days, was 105 days, and Jim can attest to that, and resulted in the reduction of the 2025-26 state budget by $3.5 billion from the previous year's approved budget. With all that being said, I'm very proud to announce Wakulla County was granted 3 of our 5 appropriation requests. I'm going to go briefly over them for you. Wakulla County requested $2.1 million for an aerial ladder truck, fire truck, to ensure coverage of large commercial structures and other multi-storied residential buildings in emergency situations. Wakulla County was awarded $1,050,000 for a new aerial truck through through the Department of Financial Services Division of the State Fire Marshal. Wakulla County requested $1.95 million to improve the dewatering process at Otter Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant. The dewatering process system separates the water from the sludge. The sludge is then compacted and taken to a landfill where it's disposed of. This will help that process at the wastewater treatment plant. Wakulla County was awarded $1 million towards the dewatering process, and these funds are made available through the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Finally, the funding was requested to outfit the new Emergency Operations Center, which we're very excited about and is being built right now. This request contains technology such as computers, smart boards, David, and monitors that will provide staff access to the latest news and updates during emergencies. Along with the technology, this will include common area furnishings and for offices and the dispatch center. Wakulla County was awarded $673,000 in funds for this, and these awards are made available through the Department of Financial Services, the Division of State Fire Marshal. I want to talk really briefly about state-funded programs. Each year, Wakulla County applies for grants through state-funded programs, and they have supported them in order for us to get funding. So the Florida Department of Environmental Protection Water Protection Grants, Governor DeSantis during the 2025 session invested funds to support programs such as Resilient Florida, which he has dedicated $3.5 billion in state funding for the next 4 years in that program. Springs Protection Grant and Alternative Water Supply Grant programs. Wakulla County has been very fortunate to receive funding from each of those programs. The Florida Department of Transportation, programs such as the Small County Road Assistance Program, or SCRAP, have provided funding to resurface a number of the roads within Wakulla County. Just in the past few years, funds provided through SCRAP have resurfaced or will resurface Aaron Road, Mack Lake Road, Lonnie Raker Road, Whidden Lake Road, Old Shell Point Road, and Tiger Hammock Road. Florida Commerce Rural Infrastructure Grants. These grants provide funds to facilitate the planning, preparation, and financing of infrastructure projects in rural communities. Wakulla County was successful in securing $4.5 million from the Rural Infrastructure Fund to support the cost of constructing a manufacturing facility in Opportunity Park. And then finally, the Florida Commerce Florida Job Growth Grant. This fund is an economic development program designed to promote public infrastructure and workforce training across the state. These grants are chosen by the governor directly. Wakulla County was successful in securing $3.5 million from the from the Florida Job Growth Grant to, again, support the cost of constructing a facility at Opportunity Park. The last thing I'd like to talk about is the public-private partnership project. The Point Blank Enterprises is expanding into Wakulla County. This new venture for Wakulla County is entered into agreement to construct 118,000 square foot, 2 buildings, one's an office and one's a manufacturing facility, to fabricate body armor. The new facility will bring 300 new jobs to Wakulla County and boost economic development for the entire county. Wakulla County, along with the support from Wakulla EDC and Florida's Great Northwest, were able to secure funding from Florida Commerce's Rural Infrastructure Fund, Florida Commerce's Florida Job Growth Grant, and from Triumph Gulf Coast to assist with the cost of the design, engineering, and construction of this new facility. The facility will be located in Opportunity Park, and the total amount of funding through grants is $21.5 million, which is a success for us. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jim Spratt with CAS Governmental Services. CAS Governmental Services has been representing Wakulla County for the past 4 years and with great results. He's now going to provide a perspective of the 2025 session and discuss a few bills that were the highlight of the session.
Commissioners, good afternoon. Y'all just had Oprah. You get a car, you get a car. Now I'm going to be more Jerry Springer. Somebody's throwing a chair before we're done here today.
Oh, Lord. Hey, if you throw one, can you buy us 5 new ones?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we need that on the list.
I was going to say.
I do want to make a note for the county manager over there too. You cannot use Sharpies on those new smart boards.
Well, I don't want a smart board. My bar is smart. I draw draw on it, then we all take pictures of it. That's pretty smart, right?
Very smart.
That's right.
That's how I use my smartphone.
And we,
Take a picture
and we
draw.
bought the wallboard at the Gulf Coast, so that's in 4x8 sheets.
It's fiscally and physically resilient. Anyway, go ahead, Jim.
So, as Ms. Metcalf said, 105 out of 60, we got a little more than we bargained for, right? It was a very prolonged, primarily budget. It was the big sticking point, but certainly the chambers and the governor had no problem barbing each other some along the way. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I think everybody gets their anonymity. I mean, they're all elected officials, so they're allowed to have their opinions. The bottom line, to the point, is it took a little longer, but we put a budget on the table. We have a balanced budget, as we always do. It's a little less. I'm still trying to, the math doesn't math for me because we have more people moving to the state, and yet we're cutting spending year over year by a pretty good number. At some point, you got to start figuring out how to make the math, but nevertheless. So a couple of, you all can read the report that was provided, but just a couple of kind of top lines. We all heard a lot, especially being from a rural community. We heard about Senate President Albritton's focus on rural communities. Rural Renaissance, if you will, was a name used quite a bit. I think because of some of the budget challenges and some of the disagreements, that bill fell short this year, although there are still some little trinkets within the current budget that give deference to rural communities. Things like some of the DEP grants, things within that are kind of a build from last year's rural, or 2 years ago's big rural package about matching or having to have projects completed before you can get a hold of the money. There are these little pieces of rural renaissance. So we got the cherry on top of the banana split. We didn't get the full banana split. I do think that from a policy perspective, the parts of the rural renaissance that didn't make it across this year, I think we'll see them back. I think the Senate's probably in a very similar posture. I think the House may have a little different approach, but we're looking at a bill that would have an education component to it, maybe a workforce development component to it, certainly a rural health care, rural access to health component to it, access or focus on rural roads and kind of these arterial roads as opposed to our main interstate systems. I think all those things are still very much in play and on the table to help our rural communities. And so I know that will be something that we as Wakulla County will be very interested in and how that negotiation goes and where that focus is. You know, I think another bill that came up short this year, but I think that's coming back, is dealing with your sovereign immunity caps. There was a push to move that up pretty significantly from where it was. It wasn't an incremental jump, it was a leap. It would have cost a significant amount of money. I do think that the legislature as a whole is tired of litigating as many claims bills in Tallahassee, and they want to make a usable process at the local level to address, to give you the tools, but also the claimant tools to address that. And so as we work through what that looks like and what is that next incremental jump, that has an impact. It has an impact on what your insurance rates look like. It has potentially an impact on how many claims you get. Legitimate claims or frivolous claims. So if you start raising the dollar figure up, you lend it to potential abuse. And so we need to be mindful of that. And as we're going through this process and looking and planning out on what our insurance will be and what the other factors are, we need to be mindful of how sovereign immunity impacts that. I think the other thing, Commissioner Thomas, your favorite bill.
I was going to say, you going to let him do that one, or?
I do want to point out for a second year in a row, the term limits initiative, if you will, came up short. It did pass the full House. It did not pass the Senate. I don't think that's going away. I think I will take off my mediator hat, if you will, and give a personal opinion, if you'll allow me this. I think that it would be wise if there was a proposal that would allow each county, charter or otherwise, to make some rules for themselves and let those voters decide what they want as opposed to going statewide. And I think if the legislature chose that approach, they probably would get a lot less pushback than they received in the previous 2 years. But again, we spoke early on about they're elected too, and we all have anonymity, so they're perfectly inclined to do what they think is best. But certainly, after 2 years of this going through lots of testimony and lots of committee hearings and lots of discussion, I think there are some ways to put it to a vote, to let the citizens decide, but I do think it's important for the citizens of the county to have the biggest say-so in what happens within their county, and I think we can get there, and I do think that that bill comes back in some form or fashion. The other piece of legislation that I was going to mention, and I don't know that it's as big of an issue here, but certainly there's a growing focus on municipal-run utilities, or even just county government-run utilities, and how you transfer funds and how you use those funds. We need to be mindful that the bug under the people's saddle and some of the bad examples or bad apples out there in the state who take a lot of money and move it to things other than utility and utility infrastructure. Maybe if we were being fair and honest, we would say, yeah, I don't think I would have spent that money on that particular thing. I think there are other things we could spend it on. There's a focus down the street here about that kind of behavior, and it's okay to talk about what that money should be used for, and whether or not, if you have a local board like a regional utility and maybe it services people who don't have access to being on the board, and you start saying things like taxation without representation because the board doesn't represent everybody, there's healthy discussion to have there. But I think we also have to be mindful that not everybody is a bad actor when we're dealing with that, when we're talking about how we plan and how we do our long-range planning and what we utilize those funds for and how we set our rate base. Not everybody's going to be a bad actor. So again, that issue is not going away. I think, again, the devil's in the details and how they choose to implement it. Then I think probably the alligator closest to the boat, I told you guys I was going to be all bad news. She was all good news. I'm all bad news. But again, I think there's an opportunity here. If we know what is coming, we can plan, we can talk about it. Property tax is not going away. It is not. I think the governor has put a pretty solid marker out there. Certainly the House and the Senate have put similar markers out there, or at least supported in theory what the governor has said. Now, what does that look like ultimately? I think the answer is no one knows for sure. And we've heard across the board. I would not be surprised as I sit here today to see a proposal. Let me step back. There's going to be two functions here. There are certain things related to ad valorem tax that have to be changed within the Constitution. And so the legislature will have to do a joint resolution that would then go to our ballot in November of 26. I think we would all be kidding ourselves if they put something on to eliminate property tax, and that's what the title was, elimination of property tax. It's going to get 60% of the vote. But understand there is that function. There will be certain things that will go to the Constitution. Florida's Constitution will have to change, so voters in November of 26 will have that choice. I think there are also some things that they can change by general law in how you collect, apply, or what kind of flexibility they give. So as I sit here today, I would tell you that I think there's a reasonably high chance we will see a proposal which will eliminate property tax on primary homesteaded properties. I think that's probably a place that they're comfortable with right now. So what does that mean? When you're going through your budget now, what does that mean if you take primary homesteaded property off your tax roll? We're going to have to get real creative. I have heard the governor and I've heard others say, well, we'll use some general revenue and we'll backfill. Okay, that, depending on how that's done, okay, you have a cost of living increase. The real estate market goes up and down. That's not a static line here, but I appreciate the idea. If we're talking in theory, okay, I'll play along here. You're going to eliminate here, you're going to backfill here, okay? But then what do we do? What do you as a county do for commercial property, for industrial property, for other property uses? What do you do for non-primary homesteaded residents? If you go too far, or maybe you don't and some other county does, what does the legislature then turn around to do to cap, limit, or change how you assess that? I think we're going to get a really deep dive And I think all of our local property appraisers are going to be very much involved. And I think the Department of Revenue is going to be involved. We're going to have a real deep dive in how we assess, how we value, how we collect ad valorem tax. We're going to have a real deep dive on special assessments to understand what is going on. So if we know that, and as these proposals happen, I would tell you right now, they're very much open to ideas. What can we do? We've had some discussions about, do we make it easier for a county to choose to go to the citizens for a referenda, like a half-cent referenda for ABC thing, very specific, very time-limited referenda, not an open-ended one. Are there things we can do to fix that and maybe help the bleeding on the other side? There's a lot up in the air, but it's coming. And to say that we're not going to have probably some tough discussions about property tax would be short-sighted, because they are definitely coming. So sorry to be Johnny Raincloud here, but I figure it's better just to tell you what we have to look out for after you heard all the good news about the appropriations. I would be so remiss if I didn't give a big thank you to both Senator Corey Simon, Representative Schoaf, their staff. They are absolutely top-notch. They are 100% working with us and for you all the time. And then also, you guys are spoiled. You'll have some of the best county staff of anywhere in the state of Florida. Both David and Michelle back there do an amazing job making sure that we have the things we need to represent you guys in the Capitol. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you for the privilege to represent Wakulla, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anything? I want to say I appreciate you being there. Jim has worked his weight in gold. If you walk the Capitals out there, you see he's got a lot of contacts and got his ear to the ground. And we got a emergency operations center coming here very soon. And Jim made a phone call and said, "Hey, I think I got a line on some money. Can y'all put a proposal together?" Our staff did it. They did it quickly, and we got some money for federal and state money for that. So we appreciate that. You mentioned the deep dive on property tax. We welcome that. I think that's what's been missing. There's been a lot of political rhetoric, but there's been no math. There's been no talk of the numbers. You can't make a cut until you figure out what you're going to do without. It's just that simple. And I think that's the missing part of the equation is, no one likes to pay taxes, including me, but most people don't like to eliminate the services that we do have. In a small fiscally constrained county, we hear from our citizens all the time. We need more in parks. We need more for, you name it, law enforcement, first responders. And so I think we do a lot with a little. And I think that's the missing part, is that deep dive to see, is there true waste? Is there something that we can do without? I grew up here and we had mostly dirt roads, and we had volunteer firefighters, and it was a completely different standard of living. In some ways that was good, but most of our society is not willing to do without the things that the county government provides to them now. And so I think we need that deep dive. We welcome it.
Yes, sir.
Anybody here?
Thank you, Jim.
Yep, thank you, Mr.
Well,
Jim.
again.
Thank you.
All right. Wakulla Probation Services, Miss Nikisha Oliver.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Nikisha Oliver, your probation director. I don't know if they have this slide. Yes. The slide that I have is, I'm going to start off with probation. We are a piece of a puzzle, not just us. Usually when we first start, when we walk in the mornings, we're usually going to our emails, and our emails are, can you hear me?
There you go.
I have a big mouth, I'm surprised y'all can. I'm used to yelling. We usually check our emails first thing in the morning. We're checking the sheriff's office. We're checking the arrest reports. We're checking to make sure any of our offenders, if they have committed new crimes, we're checking to see if they have been involved in any illegal activity. So we work closely with the sheriff's office. In addition to that, we're making sure our defendants have reported to the jail if they've been court ordered to do so. Also, if they're reporting to us in a timely manner once they've been released from the jail. We work with the clerk of court Any of defendant that's been ordered to pay restitution, any court orders that we have to type, our clerk of court keeps all of the original documents. In addition, they are the ones who send the paperwork. Usually if there's any motions, they go through the clerk's office first, and then they're going to either our county or our circuit judges, Judge Miller or Judge Smith. The local substance abuse and mental health counselors do wonders. They are a very, very, very vital part of what we do, because about 70% of the clients that we see deal with mental health or either substance abuse. The medicated assistant treatment program through This Village has helped a lot too. We've had clients who have went from being homeless to being transitioned to halfway houses, getting treatment in Tallahassee. So those two, and we deal with mental health with Appalachia. Those two programs help tremendously. There's no words. Appalachia and This do wonders for us. The community also, that can be the defendants, the friends, the family of the defendants. That can be the AA programs. It can be the NA. We work with them. We also work with the web services. They have helped. The anger management and anti-theft. Those classes are now available online. So for our clients who may not have transportation for a DUI, they may be indigent, they may have don't have the resources that a lot of us are used to. They can go to the library, they can use a telephone, they can use a laptop. As long as they have Wi-Fi, they can reach these web services and do the anger management and anti-theft. That also has helped us. We went to a probation conference last week, so I did not get a chance to give this to Jessica. So I'm giving this to you guys at the last minute, but we just found out, because a lot of the drugs, thankfully, we don't deal with in Wakulla. But down south in Miami-Dade, they deal with a lot more than what we do. So I'm thankful for that. But these are the most recent prescription drugs that are out there now.
And when Akeisha says we, that's you and one other.
The DOC probation, you have DJJ.
But in your office, though, you just have one other probation officer. That's right. So that we is just, is a very short team.
We make it work. The substance use trends right now are, and I'm glad I gave you this picture because I've never heard of it before, but it's Phenibut. But the Kratom is very, that's something that's been around. Both of these are found in the gas stations. The Phenibut is a supplement that comes in a powder or a pill. It's used to treat anxiety and depression, and some use it as a way to help relieve withdrawal from another drug. So it's not like it's just out here and it's being illegally sold. These are things that we see and we walk by every day. The Kratom, we have seen some clients that have been under the influence of this. It's found in drinks, it's found in gummies, tablets, and energy drinks. It's used for pain, energy, opiate withdrawal, depression, anxiety, and recreation. Now the Kratom in doses, it acts as a stimulant, but in high doses, it acts as an opioid. Both of the drugs are legal. They can be purchased at any gas station, a vape shop, and online, and both are highly addictive, and when mixed with other drugs, that's when they become dangerous. The xylazine, that one I have heard of. That's the zombie drug. That's the one that's used by veterinarians for the sedation or anesthesia, but for the large animals such as horses or cattle. It is not supposed to be consumed by humans. This is the drug that's mostly mixed with fentanyl to prolong a high. We all know THC. We have an increase in marijuana use, but that's because they're mixing it with other drugs. Thankfully, again, Wakulla County, our most frequent violations are due from meth and THC. And meth is because it's a cheap way, it's a cheap drug. Positive trend is that the number of overdose deaths have decreased since 2023. And those reasons could be, well, according to the research, is intervention, public health investments such as the MAT, which is what I talked about with This Village, improved surveillance, because now we have testing that can test these drugs. What they'll do is just change like one molecule, which makes it harder to determine, and the labs have to create a new test in order for us to detect that drug or drugs. Prescription drugs such as it's naloxone, but it's actually the Narcan. But because of those 1, 2, 3, 4 positive trends, that's why the deaths have decreased.
Thank the good Lord, we don't see the xylazine. Xylazine.
Yes, they do down south. So, it's coming. Don't want to leave you on a bad note, though. Our overview is that we have, what we do is we monitor the defendants that are sentenced by the court to complete specific conditions. We have a current caseload of around 120, well, it's probably around 130 active cases now. We have successfully terminated over 160 cases since January 1st. We've connected more than 100 clients with substance abuse, mental health, job services, continuing education, community support groups such as AA and NA, as well as through the MAT. We've contacted victims to ensure the victim is aware of the court conditions and ensure the defendant is in compliance. We've collected over $6,000 toward restitution payments. We do submit technical violations when a new law offense occurs, or a non-technical violation when we detect an illegal substance or failure to complete a court condition. We work with law enforcement agencies, counselors, court staff to ensure that the citizens have access to counseling, education, food pantries, and employment opportunities. Our goal is to direct the offender toward the successful completion of court conditions, promote better decision-making skills, and encourage healthier lifestyles. Do you have any questions for me?
No, ma'am, thank you.
If Nakisha, her, when she says we, she has a staff of just her and 2 other folks. And they handle that load and everything you just talked about there. And it's, I want those to come down and follow her for a week and tell me that we waste money.
I would like to give a shout out to Jessica, even though she didn't ask. We were short one officer and she came and helped us during court. Thank you. That speaks volumes.
Yep. She has to go to court with them, everything is just full on. So thank you, Nakisha. She does a
Thank you,
great
ma'am.
job for our county and our
Thank you,
citizens.
Nakisha.
All right, let's move into consent.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
can I
ma'am?
just interrupt for 1 second before we move on?
Go ahead.
Can I just thank Chad Oaks for being here, that he's on consent and spent his afternoon with us. I just wanted to let him be aware of what he was getting himself into and how grateful we are for you.
Chad, would you
Alrighty.
like to speak?
I'm good. On the second Mondays of the month.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you, buddy.
Agenda item number 6 and 7 was pulled from the consent agenda, and Ms. Kelly will introduce those items.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Item number 6, request board approval of a budget amendment authorizing the use of reserves in the E911 fund. The budget amendment will decrease the E911 reserve line by $151,950, leaving a balance of $2,008,667 for the current fiscal year. The $151,950 will be transferred to the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office. These are for expenses related to the maintenance of the E911, maintenance and training of the E911 system. And Ms. Rachel from our 911 coordinator is here to talk a little bit more about those.
Come on up, Miss Rachel.
Good evening.
How are you?
Hi, how are y'all?
Good, thank you.
A little short there. So, you have questions about it?
I do.
Go right here.
Just wanted to know, is this a one-time charge? Is this going to be a reoccurring charge? Is this going to cause us to have to work this into a budget item, next year as well?
No, this would be a one-time charge. So anything going forward in our next year's for maintenance costs, it'd be covered in grant funds.
And my question was the same for 6 and 7, so.
Yeah, so the PSAP agreement was a little bit different. So that was money that was allocated through the DMS. So they went and told the counties that it was money that was available. So I in turn contacted them and said, hey, are we able to use those funds? So that's the first state-funded agreement that was first signed in earlier 2025, and then we re-upped it again for the remainder of 2025 up into 2026. And that's for the first year's cost of the grant fund. For the next generation and the regional GIS projects. Anything going forward for years 2 through 5 will go through a grant. And I'll apply for the rural county grants, which they highly recommend to do.
So what happens if you don't get picked up for the grant on both of those programs? What kind of problem would that create for you, or what kind of hole in the budget would that create?
So DMS is actually, I just got notification earlier this week, so they are actually pursuing other funding, and there's a $1.8 million funding that they're going to allocate for fiscally constrained counties as well.
Okay, great.
And that will be going forward. But anything other than that will be grant funded.
If we run into a problem, let us know as soon as possible. So
Absolutely.
maybe Jim has slid out. But
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can get you on that list.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Get you on that list.
Mr. Chairman, I asked staff a question
ma'am.
about, I think it was last week, it seems like last meeting that we had. Is this the same grant that we approved at the last meeting on consent?
Yes, that's correct. The
Thank
grant
you.
agreement has already been approved. This is just the budget amendment and resolution
Okay.
to add that grant funding to the budget.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And that
Thank
covers
you.
6 and 7, right? Okay.
7.
Get a motion?
I get a motion.
Do you want a motion together? To make a motion to approve 6 and 7.
All right, I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0. All right, general business.
This agenda item requests board approval to purchase a Rosenbauer Viper 78-foot-long aerial fire truck from NAFECO Incorporated in the amount of $1,218,799. As you know, Wakulla County's fire rescue, their current truck was built in 1996, and it's a model I can't pronounce that name, Sutphen, which was purchased, used, and is well past its useful lifespan. The county, we requested from the legislature $2.1 million to replace the aerial fire truck. We received $1,050,000 from the legislature, which we're thankful of, and thankfully staff was on top of it. As soon as we found out about that, even before session was over, started searching, and Chief LaMarche and his crew, they found this particular 78-foot truck, found it, and it's a demonstrator, therefore we can get it within the time span of the grant.
Need a motion to approve? You want a motion to approve? You're welcome. I'm going to make a motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second.
Mr. Chair, I do just want to add that, like David said, that was pretty amazing, the turnaround time on this.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It's awesome. Actually, I mean, getting it that quick, because Mr. LaMarche, a year, if they had to build you one?
About 3 years.
About 3 years? Okay.
And David, you can pronounce Rosenbauer Viper 78, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Rosie.
One, right?
Viper 1.
But also to note in here is this grant is a little different than our other grants that we get in the fact that the fire marshal's office require us to have, before they will give us the grant agreement, we have to have a purchase order in line. So therefore, that's a little opposite of what we do. So we had to, and you'll see in here, we had to back this with 1 cent sales tax money. But as soon as we get the purchase completed and everything, we'll get that backfilled, and it'll be paid for out of the legislative funds, as well as the delta will be made up through the MSBU capital fund.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0.
Good evening, Commissioners. This agenda item requests board approval of consultant services authorization number 1 to Bow Stearns Professional Consulting Agreement with Wakulla County to provide enhancements to the Visit Wakulla website. The additional scope of your work would provide enhancements to the Visit Wakulla website that include web build to feature new copy and interactive maps, to establish an itinerary tool, and to optimize the search engine marketing. This was approved by the Tourist Development Council unanimously at a regular scheduled TDC meeting in June. The budgetary impact in the year 1 is $51,000 and is supported 100% by local bed tax revenue. Staff is recommending approval of this item.
All right.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0. Public hearings, we have none. Planning and zoning, have none. Commissioner agenda items, Commissioner Thomas.
So we talked about this in a prior meeting to add a conditional use of livestock services to zoning district C2. And I had spoken to Brandon about it, and, we think conditional use would be preferred over principal use. The principal use is going to give an expectation of approval for that particular zoning district. If it's a conditional use, that means when it comes in at an application, that still gives us some latitude to see if it's going to be appropriate for that area, because it's a broad category, livestock services, and so some areas may be appropriate in some C2, and some may not be appropriate in other C2, so that's going to still give us latitude. And this, if it's approved tonight, just allows it to move forward. It's still going to have to come back to us as an actual change.
Actual agenda item.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
I need some discussion on this.
We got
So I understand that we're bringing it back just like anything else.
Right.
So is this going to be a planning commission decision or a new ordinance, all of those fun things, or we're waiting until staff brings it back to us to figure all that out?
Yeah, I believe it will have to do both. It'll have to go to the planning commission and then come back to us for final approval.
I'll bring it back to you guys for direction to advertise, and at that point, we would take it through the steps of going to the planning commission for recommendation, and then because we're changing the zoning, it would have to come before y'all twice for approval.
Can I interrupt you right there, Brandon? When you say changing the zoning, what does that mean to you?
So we are
More importantly, to my brain.
We're changing the allowable uses within the zoning district by putting livestock services as a conditional use under the C2 zoning district.
So it's going to line up with everything around if my house is here, and all those things are going to come into play with the conditional use?
Correct. The conditional use would need to be approved by the planning commission. With that conditional use application, it gives the planning commission, they're able to review the application, see if it would be detrimental to the surrounding area in any way, and they're also able to approve the site plan with conditions if that's necessary.
And if anybody has C2 property and they want to downgrade to agriculture, can they?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this allowed on agricultural property?
Yes, ma'am, it would be.
And so then they would have to do what?
Then they would have
Site
to
plan,
submit a
storm
site plan.
ponds,
Yep.
all those things?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. So I have a motion. I have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0. County attorney.
Nothing additional.
Okay. County administrator.
Just one thing. I believe I've talked to everybody. I want to make sure that get the story straight. Is the bridge in Franklin County? Excuse me. Liberty County. I don't know why I say that every time. Liberty County over the Cotton River Bridge has been out. Talk to the clerk of court over there, and they should have the bridge back functional probably mid next week. So as long as those are repairs and weather don't hold them up, that should happen. So it should be open.
Do you know if that's a temporary patch or is that a permanent fix for now?
No earthly idea.
Okay.
We're gonna fix it by next week, it's
Yeah,
temporary.
I would go out on a limb and say probably.
All I know is it should hold, they said, and so it should be good for hunting season.
It should
hold.
Keep lots of air in your tires. And
That's right.
end
That's
up
a
in the
little
river.
scary.
Yeah.
But that's not Wakulla County. I'm just passing on that information. So that's all.
Has
I
anybody contacted Randy about it yet?
know. Not yet. Not yet.
All right.
He don't go quite that far, so he's not really concerned.
Okay, so we have no citizens to be heard. Discussion issues by commissioners. Commissioner
I just want
Messerschmidt.
to thank Michelle because I never thank her when she comes to my rescue and says nice things like, you don't even have to be there because I'm going to take care of it, Melissa and I, for the broadband stuff this week that was on our agenda, and I forgot to thank you earlier today. And Melissa.
Yep. Commissioner Thomas.
Nothing to do.
Nothing additional. The only thing I was going to bring up is we had another accident at 98 and Spring Creek Highway. DOT is aware of it. Believe me, I've called them. They're doing their studies, and we're waiting to get those back. But they're data driven, so that's what they're doing. Another thing that popped up just for staff. And maybe you can, I'll get with you guys offline on this, a crosswalk from Bridal Gate to Publix.
That is in DOT's plan when they resurface from Walmart to right here to Shaveville.
So it is already in the plan, already?
Plans, yes.
Okay.
That is all, that's in, as soon as that's bid out, that's a part of it, and we'll tie
And it'll go right there at Bridal Gate Drive, okay.
we'll tie the sidewalks to it. We're just waiting on them.
Yes, sir, okay.
Time frame on that, no clue.
They were supposed to let that contract, they were supposed to let it in May. That was earlier this year. I haven't checked on it. I have to check on it and see.
Okay. All right, so we have been in contact with DOT about the two intersections, and y'all, there's the information about the crosswalk. Ms. Ballard?
Yeah.
I have a few questions, so forgive me, but this is also new, and it's mainly about the budget before we get to the final. And there's a lot of questions, so I think in May I asked for a 10% budget across the board exercise. You know, I haven't really received that. And I know you discussed possibly contracting certain services out. What does that look like? And is there any way I can get just 10% across the board, excluding public safety?
Excluding public safety?
Public safety.
Yeah, we can.
Humor me. I want maybe a 5% and a 10%. Just show me what it looks like.
Sure.
The other thing, I was reviewing the first budget meeting, and Commissioner Thomas made a calculation on your rollback rate. I think it was 7.2. I don't remember the exact date. But we were told that the 125 million new construction value was not included. Can you explain why again, Kelly? Please.
And I will say that I had I'll let her do it, but I misspoke at that meeting, and because I didn't realize it was pulled out either, but
Okay.
I did clarify later that it is.
It is, but why did we pull that out?
Well, you pull it out to calculate your rollback rate, but then you put it back in to apply that rate that you come up with. So the rollback rate is meant to determine how to generate the same revenue, the same tax levy from the same tax base as the previous year.
Okay.
So that's why you take the brand new tax base out. And so you look at what those same properties from last year, what their new value has become this year. Okay. And that's why you pull the new growth out to find that rollback rate. But then once you have the rate, you apply it to all of the property value.
Okay. Does that make sense?
In which that's also the fallacy in that is there's not when we've discussed it, there's not a CPI increase within the rollback, which there should be some sort of CPI, because if you go straight to the rollback, that means you're getting the same money year over year over year over year that you're getting. So there's no increase for governments to increase
At that rate.
That's right, at that rate. So that's the fallacy in that thinking.
Department of Revenue treats the new growth as the CPI.
Right.
Thank you.
And the only reason you haven't gotten the 10% is normally the board will vote to say they want a 10% or whatever. And I think the only thing that what we can do is understand when a 10% decrease or a 5% decrease is, all we can do is we'll give you the numbers that would be, but, and give you some hypotheticals of departments that would have to go bye-bye.
Right,
So
okay.
that's,
Just dumb it down as best
yeah,
as you
no,
can.
that's what it would be, so.
Because when you group it all together, I don't know. I'm a math person, so I like formulas, and it just wasn't making sense. What was the other thing? Oh, we just received the updated, I wrote all over mine. I need to put my glasses on since.
Maybe Heather will bring you a notebook that says
Changed.
doodle, what does my notebook say?
I love doodling.
Doodle book, exactly.
No, but so the changes to the preliminary budget, I didn't have a chance to review all of it completely, minus all of my little notes. But I question, so it said the preliminary budget expenditures of the county, I think as far as our July 14th workshop, went from 15.6, but now as of 8/4, it's now 9.6% less than last year's total operating expenditures.
Yes.
Can you explain that for me?
Well, because the budget itself, the total budget has increased by about $19 million. Most of that due to grants that we have approved and added to the budget. So the percentage change from last year is less.
Okay.
So it was, because the budget was smaller, it was a higher percentage less than last year's budget. But that percentage, that decrease is shrinking because the budget is increasing.
Grants, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You knew that, Josh? Look at you. I didn't have a chance.
He went to Kelly's office and asked, I'm sure.
I'm going to. No. Oh, one more thing. Can you tell me a projected date of having the completed impact fee study, please? Projection.
That's in the hands of the thing, but yes, Summer can.
Summer?
So the first half of task one that the consultants Kimley Horn have been tasked with is completed. That's the comparative analysis. Right now, as of actually Friday afternoon, I sent them the last piece of information they needed to complete the growth analysis, which is the next portion of this first task. Once that is complete, I hope to have it within the next week or two based on their projected timeline. That will be presented to the board for your consideration and direction on how to move forward. If you want to complete any in-depth impact fee studies on the individual category. So hopefully by the next meeting, if not the one following that, we'll have it ready for you guys.
I'd like to request a printed binder if I can. It doesn't have to be in a binder, but a printed copy.
At large font.
Large font.
Also,
We're all blind up here.
I'm sure we can accommodate that.
Thank
we
you.
had a discussion also with Mike,
Mike Barwick?
no, gosh.
Rick Meyer?
Rick Meyer.
The school board-
I don't know why I want to say Mike Myers.
Michael Myers. Good Lord.
Rick Meyer, last week to include the school board in on the study as part of, we got to that point, and we're going to, the initial look will be to include the school board. So we requested information from them as well. But now realize that will be, if they'll be part of this study, but it'll be up to the school board to initiate anything on their portion. So, so anyway, we had a really good discussion with him, and so we brought him into that. And pulling these things together is not easy because the groundwork has to be right in order to have, if you're going to have an impact fee, you have to have your groundwork right, and that's what they're doing right now, is making sure your base math works, and that's making sure also the growth analysis is very important, because you can't take what we've done the past 10 years and just turn that and say that's going to be happening in another 10 years. That won't happen. It can't. We just don't have enough land. So that's the reason that has to happen. We're not Miami-Dade. We're not any of these other counties that has a bunch of undevelopable land that is ready to develop. So that's the reason it's going to take a little while. And we need to pay a specific attention to that growth, that analysis. That is the key to this whole thing, is how we got to make sure that's right. Because if it's not right, your impact fees don't mean anything.
And based on the preliminary impact fee that we all received, the study, not the preliminary impact fee, but the counties that they compared us to were what with regard to our county and all things that could never be developed?
So they were similarly situated in the amount of conservation lands that they have, and in some of the cases, their growth rate was relatively comparable to ours as well. So that they tried to pick jurisdictions that had similar characteristics to our jurisdiction. Obviously, it's not a one-size-fits-all. All 67 counties are different and unique in their own way, so nothing's going to be mirror to mirror comparison, but they do have like qualities to Wakulla County.
The closest one to us was Jefferson, as far as population-wise.
I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember. I think their population is probably about half of ours, but there are some other counties that obviously have higher population, but their conservation area and their growth rate are comparable to ours.
And so from looking at an impact fee study, a really important part of this is the conservation piece that can never be developed.
That's correct.
Which goes back to your growth analysis.
And I agree with David on the growth. We all met with the folks that are doing the study. And, you know, a point that I made that I would like to see, and hopefully will be included in that growth figure, is, you know, real world examples of what can be done or what should have been done. And I gave an example. I believe, the time I've been here, I believe we've only built 2 new roads in the county. And one is Whidden Lake Road, which there's virtually no growth down behind Whidden Lake Road. So I don't believe it would qualify for any impact fees. And I believe the other would be Cager Posey. And I think the developer built that when they rerouted Cager Posey. So I don't think either one of those would serve road impact fees. There's definitely a disconnect from what we see in the public and the reality of what we're going to have to measure when we're, you know, looking at imposing impact fees. And, you know, I see people say, well, if he had impact fees, we could give deputies raises. We could pave these roads.
The whole fire department.
We could have a better parks and rec, and most of that is just not true. So we have to measure where that growth is, what the impact is going to be, and it has to be, what is it, a rational nexus test that we have to apply to it to make sure that the folks that are paying that are the ones that are in that growth area. And so it's a tough thing.
It's not an easy formula, but like I say, the key to that is growth. And all the projections that I've seen coming from is about where we did our projections was, you know, the county's going to round out max about 60,000 people is about all it's going to be able to really sustain. Which that's what early on when I did my growth projection, that's what it's going to round out to be. And your housing is you're going to end up with about 30,000 houses, 35,000 houses, which is, we're about 15,117, something like that, of single family homes currently. So that's about, you know, maybe you're going to end up a little shy of 30,000 houses because you just don't have developable land left to speak of unless the federal government cuts loose the refuge and all that stuff, which that's not going to happen. So past that, you're going to have some redevelopment, and you've got some old family farms, but those are only 100 acres here, 200 acres there. There's not any developable size. You know, we don't have, you know, 1,000, 2,000 acre developable parcels like other counties do. So you just look at the math, and the math tells you that we would have to make an impact. You're going to have to set your impact fees so high you could possibly affect your market and your market, and also your economy and your county. So you got to be very careful. Very careful.
It would have to apply to something the county's actually paying for as well. Like I see a lot, we have a neighborhood with 400 homes. Well, people think that the county, their taxpayers' money, built the lift station and put the pipes and the sewer pipes in order to accommodate that. But you correct me if I'm wrong, David, I don't believe we've ever done that. The developer has to do that as part of, you know, servicing his property and make sure he has connections. So the taxpayers are not bearing any of that cost. They're not putting any roads, any high-speed internet, any water, any sewer. They're bearing all that. Taxpayers are not covering any of that cost. And so then if you look at those homes, and most of these new homes being built are, $300,000 to $400,000 homes. Those folks are paying a heck of a lot more in taxes than those of us who have lived here for 20 or more years and those who bought homes when it was a lot more affordable here. So, really, if you look at it, those high dollar homes, they may put more traffic and be a headache on our roads, but they are subsidizing the rest of us.
Well, and the problem that you have as well is you set and not be against impact fees at all. I'm probably neutral, but is you got to be careful, because if you set them to where we would probably have to set them so high to make an impact, to where you're taking your market on housing is thin, and you have tiers. And if you get a $25,000, $30,000 impact fee, you're taking that lower market where people were able to build and afford at that tier. All of a sudden you're jacking everything up to your next tier. Therefore, you're knocking out your lower income. You got to be very careful. Like I say, it's not a lot of the public and the internet and all that stuff is the silver bullet. It is far from that. You can do some good things with it, but you can royally screw up with it too.
Well, and that's I brought it up with David earlier. I got a call from a citizen, and that's what they told me, to be very careful, because they've been here a few years, but they said be very careful.
Yes, sir.
Because if your impact fee, and like I say, I'm not against impact fees. I want to see where it'll help Wakulla County, truly help. But they said to be they said to be very careful how high you make them, because if you go too high, your developer, what they'll do is, instead of making this small house, because they're going to pass some of it along to the consumer, but they also got to intermingle, well, in the end, all of it, but they're going to also intermingle it into the cost of building that house. And if they say, well, man, I've got to pay this, then that person told me what happened in their area is they just quit building little houses, and they bumped up to a 2,500 square foot house, and they stayed. That was the smallest house that they built.
In every tier of pricing, there is a price point and your builders will tell you this. There's a tier to where that market ends.
But we got a lot of people in this county that can't afford a 2,500 square foot house.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we need more housing that's more affordable, in my opinion.
There's a lot of experts out there on impact fees that don't really know what they're talking about. So
I think we have a lot of people that are under the impression that, okay, impact fee is a one-time hit. We suck it up and move on. It's not. It's going to drive up the cost of that home and the cost of those property taxes to the end of time. Because even if it's a $5,000 impact fee and the builder is increasing his price $5,000, your taxes just went up. And every year, even with your homestead exemption cap, it's going to go up proportionally higher than the people who bought less. So it's not a one-time deal. You're going to pay, and you're going to pay more than your neighbors for a long time.
Well, and people that have had their property in the county for 20 years, been paying taxes on it, just understand that it's going to hit everybody.
Yeah.
So when you decide you want to build your child a house,
we got a long way
obviously we're not there, but
it takes a while to do these.
But that's our job, is to see the good and the bad.
Because it's not just throwing a number on the table and here it is.
Right.
You got to make sure there's a lot of science and math that goes.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not against them. I just want to make sure they'll help our
Because the next phase of it is, after growth analysis, is then going to be, what do we need? And that's going to be the interesting part.
But it is definitely interesting to me that there's a big talk statewide of cutting taxes, and you got a group of people that want to throw a new tax on.
Yeah.
And you're going to continue to accumulate more tax over time. So it seems like we're kind of working against ourselves with that mindset.
Well,
that's where the study will show. Hopefully
Yeah.
clear up all
Data.
that.
Yeah, data.
Data.
The data.
Facts.
Facts.
All right,
Is there
Mr.
any-
Law.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you
No, I
finish up?
was being sarcastic. Is there some sort of ordinance on how we do the turning lanes, only 2.5 cars can fit, or is there one more? Is there
what's that now?
a certain size for the turning lanes, or just one for 2.5 cars, like by Publix?
Like Publix.
2.5 cars?
Yeah, that was a Mercy turn lane.
Well,
was after the fact turn lane.
It was better than the turn. It was better than the
better
turn
than
lane
no
we had there
turn lane.
before.
It started out as like a one car.
That's right.
I know,
But yes, you're right. It is. That's something that there's also going to be a turn lane, a right turn lane coming into Publix there when they do the resurfacing as well. From if you're going northbound, there'll be a right turn lane. But that's something we got to look at, and that was a stopgap, so.
Okay. You good?
I'm good.
Mr. Lawhorn?
Nothing further.
Nothing?
Covered it all.
All right, can I get a motion for adjournment?
Good job.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we adjourned.
Sure.